Welcome to Anxious Tea Time, the show where we discuss the wonderfully different aspects of mental health.
I'm Ellie.
And I'm Gulli.
This week we're going to be talking about something a bit different. We're going to be more discussing about our show and the organisation that we work for.
Oh yeah, definitely, because we know we have a few listeners here, and we have a few followers on Instagram, we have some followers on Twitter, on our Facebook page, on our website, but I think each of these platforms have a bit different information and have different types of followers, so this is more to give more of an overall explanation of what we do and how we got involved and how you can get involved.
Yeah, there are many different access points for this organisation. The newest one that has just come out recently is our Instagram.
Oh yeah, definitely go follow our Instagram. That would be at counselling services, but just one L. So that's COUNSELING on Instagram. So that's counselling services with one L.
And on this Instagram you can see the counsellors that work here, some well-being tips, positive steps and general videos of how to help yourself, and there are posts helping you through mental health, showing you that you are not the only one going through this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just in terms of how we got involved, because we didn't get involved in the typical way, you could say, because if you go to our website at anxiousminds.co.uk, we do need all sorts of volunteers. You can write for our blog, you can help with our online marketing, fundraising. We also need mental health professionals. Recently, we also actually need more people to help with this radio station, which is wonderful and which is what we mainly do. But there's tons of avenues, and Anxious Mind does all sorts of things, from counselling, support groups, these shows, spreading information, spreading awareness, and it's just I think there's so much more to this organisation that people know just based on following us in one avenue, for example. So yeah, let's start with us then. How did we get into this, Sally?
Well, we're actually on placement from Northumbria University. We are both psychology students, so I want to say that we know what we're talking about, but I'm going to change it to we know what we're talking about to a degree.
Yeah, I was having this game of we're obviously not professionals. Take everything we say with a grain of salt, especially advice. But at the same time, we do have some knowledge of what we're talking about, which is also why we are doing this show. I think personally, we do a lot of research for these episodes. But obviously, if you have listened to any of our previous episodes, would you have kind of a really free-flowing discussion, if you will?
Yeah, we like to add our own sort of personal things into everything, and also just general topics of conversation, stuff that goes into social media, stuff that we have seen personally. So it's not all just individual differences, so everyone treats everything differently. So we like to show that it isn't just this one thing that can be written down on a piece of paper. It's just one diagnosis. We just want to show you that there are many different avenues you can go down.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because we applied for a placement here for the radio show, and we weren't completely sure what exactly we're going to be doing, so we were giving a lot of creative freedom to make what we want to make, which we are very grateful for. And I think it's led to this show, and I think something we discussed privately before even starting, when we had to kind of plan, well, what do we want to talk about, what do we want this to be, was that we wanted something very accessible with mental health, something that anyone can kind of tune into and somewhat understand. We didn't want it to be very clinical.
Yeah.
And I think we both think, and I think a lot of people can agree with this, that the overall kind of public conversation around mental health can feel a bit stiff in a way. It can be people have depression sometimes, watch out for your friend, here are symptoms of depression. It's and that's true, and it's very important that people know that. But I think we wanted to more kind of just have a very interesting discussion around it, because I feel I'm not sure if you agree with this, but I feel it's a weird dichotomy going on with mental health and illness, this kind of split thing of either you're mentally ill and you're sick, or you're super mentally healthy and nothing is ever wrong. Well, most people do kind of exist somewhere in between, don't they?
Yeah, they do. That it is a scale. It's not just like, oh, you are one thing or the other thing. You could be in between. You can be severe. It could be mild. You could have different symptoms for different things. It doesn't mean you are this one label. And we want to make it more relatable than you just hearing us talk and screaming statistics at you and telling you just, oh, you're not the only one, because if there are 1 million other people feeling exactly the same way as you. We want to explain it and make you feel like, oh, we actually do know what you're feeling, and there are other people and there are other ways that you can help and you can find help yourself.
Yeah, and I think this show in that way really reflect the organisation Anxious Mind. I think from what I've seen here and for the different things we offer, Anxious Mind really do recognise that it is very complicated for people. It's not like, oh, you're super healthy and then you experience mental health problems for exactly 2 years and then you're over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, life isn't like that, is it? Things come and go, circumstances can change, our problems can change, how we interact and what we even want can change. So I definitely encourage at least visiting our website on Anxious Minds. Of course, follow our recently revamped Instagram page at Counselling Services, counselling with 1 L, and just have a little look around, to be very honest. You don't need to have a super official clinical diagnosis to engage with our services. They're open for the people who need it, of all sorts of anxious minds. And there is so much more than you may expect. This isn't just a radio show and maybe a psychologist. We do all sorts of discussion groups, outreach, and just to talk a bit more about volunteering for us as well. Not only is it a very good and very relevant cause, in a bit of a selfish way, it's very nice to have something to do, something very meaningful, and especially in this kind of environment where people understand and people are incredibly accommodating as well.
Yeah, they are absolutely lovely here, and like she said, we were given so much creative freedom with what we wanted to do, and we could make the podcast about anything. But there isn't just podcasts here. If you were to volunteer in this department of the organisation, you can create your own videos.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel.
Yep. And the YouTube channel is Anxious Minds, so you can work on that with someone or even by yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have all sorts of videos up there as well. We have different topics surrounding mental health, some tips on how to sleep with anxiety, just everyday dealing, kind of just a bit you can cherry pick a bit for what you want and what's relevant to you. So again, I'll keep saying this, but it's definitely worth giving our websites or social media a little look, because there's definitely so many different aspects of mental health and mental well-being we offer.
Yeah, because we have a space on the radio station for our podcast, but they still have more room for other people to talk about different things, because obviously we have our own specific way of talking about mental health. It's sort of an educational, relaxed way of talking about it. We have more of a discussion, but if you wanted to volunteer and talk about it in your own special way, that is completely fine. So looking on the website and going to volunteer would be fantastic. And if you're not up for volunteering and you do need help, the services they provide here are absolutely fantastic, and everyone will always be willing to help you.
Oh, definitely. And we also got a wonderful dog here. Her name is Millie, and she's worth coming here for, if only for her. Yeah. She is absolutely wonderful. And it has been a wonderful, if not a bit challenging experience otherwise, just working here. Because again, we're both psychology students, and at least for me, I want to go further into mental health and become a therapist. How are you with that?
Yeah, I'm the same. I've always wanted to go into doing therapy for people, because this place will also give me the opportunity to do stuff like that and help people, and that's what our main goal is to do in psychology.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I found personally that's been almost like a challenge to speak about this to a more general audience, because obviously we're both in our third year of university, and how we learn about mental health and mental well-being is very academic, very clinical, and a bit far removed in a way. So it's definitely a good experience to come and be well, in layman's terms, what is going on? We're all people here. And for me, that's been a very, very valuable experience.
Oh, I completely agree. And it also gives you more information about mental health in general, because obviously we search about papers and not really about sort of general mental health topics and conversation going on in the media and people's general problems that go on. So when we sort of do research for the show, we end up finding out more, and we could also see that other people go through so many different things, and we want to be able to help with that and educate people. And so if you see symptoms in someone, it means that just because we said these symptoms for this, you may be helping someone. So it feels really nice to be able to help people through your voice.
Oh, definitely, especially when we have the kind of experience of reading more academic literature as well, because let's face it, like, reading the most recent journal papers isn't the most interesting for most people. No. So it's kind of nice to be able to kind of go in, learn what we can, and then kind of communicate that. So it's been nice to kind of communicate that to a wider audience in more simpler terms, because I think you can run the risk of, well, if you do try to maybe research more mental health news or something to relate it to a condition we may have, some reporting on mental health and conditions can be very biased, very sensational, sometimes fear-mongering. Me personally, I would love to do a podcast episode on, for example, psychosis or psychotic disorder, personality disorder, because those are absolute minefields if you want to find actually good, reliable, non-stigmatizing research, which I think, at least as for me, is one of my main goals with this podcast.
Exactly, and it just gives us this opportunity to be able to talk about the things that we wanted to talk about, because we don't just have to talk about specific mental health disorders, we can talk about the things that can affect, like one of our episodes on gaming. I love doing stuff like that, because it also shows other people the different ways to look at it, because with media, obviously some mental health is presented in such a specific way that you miss out on so much, so we get to present these different angles that you wouldn't normally get to listen to.
Yeah, and like, not to hype up our future episodes too much, but I would love to do an episode on the kind of complicated nature of symptoms in itself, because I think like a lot of more mainstream mental health awareness is very like, oh, this is depression, has the symptoms, has anxiety, has the symptoms, and obviously those symptoms are very common in people with anxiety and depression, but a lot of disorders and mental health problems don't present like perfectly on a page where you have every symptom like clean, you can just check them off. Like, obviously it's very complicated and things can change, and the kind of intricacies and problems around that is very interesting. And again, I think for us, I think the nuance of these topics is very, very important. So with all these different ideas and topics we talk about, we're obviously very interested in hearing you guys' feedback, because you are the ones who are making the show for. So your best bet would just be to pop us a little email at info@anxiousminds.co.uk. And to be fair, that email works for any kind of inquiry you might have. There's quite a lot of information on our website, again, anxiousminds.co.uk. Our Instagram at counselling services with one L, not two, in counselling. We also got a Twitter at mindsanxious. There's tons of information there, but of course you can definitely send an email to info@anxiousminds.co.uk. We even have a phone number you can call, and that will be 0191 262 0305. Again, that's 0191 262 0305.
We would love to hear from you. We will definitely read the emails. Just state that you want to talk to Ellie and Gulli about Anxious Tea Time. We would love to get your opinions, and if you want us to cover anything, because we'd love to cover the stuff that you want us to talk about.
Oh, definitely. And again, if you just want any other information at any of our services, just pop us an email. We'll get right back to you. So this has been this short episode of Anxious Tea Time. I'm Gulli.
And I'm Ellie.
And we will see you next week.